ourselves, then to apply it becomes easier, and we can make proper use of it. I'm just giving you first in general, then you can make use of it without a proper understanding. Therefore, great masters like Swami Chinmaya and others, they said we must take any course on management. We need the skills, we need the techniques, yet no skill or technique can be useful to us at all times, at all places. Is it not? Because you have to adapt according to the field, you have to adapt according to the market. So naturally what happens is that what works in one country may not work in another country. Just to give you a simple example about human relationships. In the West, if the boss, the director walks into the office, gives a tap on this guy's shoulder and says, "How's your family? How's your wife?" Very often he might even turn around and tell his boss, "None of your business." Yeah? He will also be wondering, why you are interested in my wife? He will ask like that. In India, if you just go affectionately speak to the peon and tell him, "Baal bache sab theek hai, how your children and all are fine," he's a slave for life. Boss actually told me that. Yeah. It's a different way of handling people. See how it is? I'll give you an example. I was in USA and I reached the airport. One of the person who was with me stays in America, Indian, but stays in America. That person went to park the car and we were quite late, so I rushed to the counter and the flight had been cancelled. I had to take the next connecting flight. Rather, my behavior, very politely, I'm telling this lady behind the counter that, "See, I cannot take these connecting flights. The flight is cancelled. You see that I get the next direct flight." "There's no direct flight. They're all booked." I said, "Yeah, fine, booked, but can you see? After your flight has been cancelled." I'm very politely speaking to this lady. She bluntly answers to me, and I'm taken aback a little bit that it's your flight cancelled. You have to give me my flight to my convenience. You just, as it's my mistake that your flight is cancelled, the way she was talking. I couldn't get through to her. I was as polite as possible. I just couldn't get through to her. And what happens? This American-born lady, Indian, comes there, speaks to her in her manner, gives her a good, blunt talk. And that woman doesn't react to her, actually does the work and give it to her. I thought now, with the way she spoke to me, that lady, now when this lady speaks to her so rudely, that she would actually fight back. But rather, she just listened to her. So I told her, I spoke to the same lady very politely. She didn't give it to me. And you screamed at her, and she didn't even react and gave it to you. She said, "That's how it works in America." And I was really surprised, that's how it works, and I tried it. You sometimes work, be very polite. It's not that they are rude, that's the way they talk. Be straight, be blunt, and that's the way it is. Well, in India, if you do that, they have to say, "Saab, ye tedi kya marta hai? I don't want to do it for you." You can't do anything. But nicely, you tell that person, "No, please, can you really do it for me? Really, I need your help." They will do it. So how do you manage relationship? You have to understand the psyche of that place, is it not? You have to understand the psyche of that place, of that field. And therefore, certain management techniques may work in one place, may not work in the other place. And therefore, our knowledge of the field, the knowledge of the field must be very clear. we must also be clear about the knower of the field, who is dealing with them. No? In Bhagavad Gita, so beautifully it is pointed out in the 13th chapter, yeah, that you must know the field as well as the knower of the field. Just as you know the market, you have to understand the material marketplace, its laws, etc. But there is a human factor in it. Until unless you understand that how it works, you cannot know the field totally without even understanding the knower of the field. And very often, most of the science is what they teach is just the field. They just teach the field, not the knower of the field. Who is the person who is acting in the field? The very first talk on spiritual management, it's a just coined up term, I heard was Swami Swaroopananda when I had just joined business. I was 21, right out of college. And I happened to enter one session where he was giving talks to Lions Club or Rotary Club, something like that. And there were all these business people, entrepreneurs, professionals, hundreds of them. And first thing he pointed out very beautifully is, he said that we may learn as many techniques of management, but any company is successful because of the manager. You might have all systems of management, but the manager himself is not handling it properly. Will those management techniques work? Will those management systems work? So he pointed out very clearly that until and unless we know who the manager is and we manage the manager, all other management techniques can fail. And yet some of the greatest managers of the world had not really studied any management techniques. They developed it and they became examples for others to follow in every field. Is it not? So what goes to make a good manager is proper understanding of ourselves, how we function. And it's very nice that the college has chosen this topic, because very often we don't understand ourselves. I found it very interesting. They call it MBA. Yeah. So it's a really course. Real MBA should be this only. Because the three things that you have to know about yourself is, you have to know your mind, isn't it? Because after all, who's the manager of your life? Mind only, isn't it? As your mind, so is your life. Mind is confused. What will happen to your management? Isn't it? So mind is the manager. The equipment through which we function in the world is the body, isn't it? But what is it that vitalizes? What is it that gives life to this body and mind? Is there or is there not anything else? And if it is, then who is this person I call as me or I? So the word Atma means I. That which is giving as a source of life. So it's a very interesting topic. If you really want to be an MBA student of life, you have to know your mind, what else? Body and Atma. So let us first start with what is this body. Shri Krishna calls it as the field. And very often we think the field is the world outside. You see, the field is the world outside. But if you see the world outside and this body, you recognize that both are a field and both need to be managed. Don't you have to manage your body every day? Yeah. One day you mismanage your body, what happens? Give me an example of mismanagement of body. As in, don't, whatever spontaneously comes to your mind, don't wait to,
Foul odor.
Huh?
Foul odor from my body.
Foul odor from the body. Yeah, the girls have plenty of complaints about that. Isn't it? Yeah. So, if you don't have your, so what would be the right management for removing foul odor from the body?
Perfume.
Huh?
Have a bath every day.
Okay. So now two management techniques pointed out, right? Yeah. One is apply a spray perfume. This is called the French technique. Yeah. This is called the French technique. Your body is smelling. You drown that smell with perfume. So that stronger perfume will drown this smell of the foul odor. Now apply this to business. The same technique to business. What does mismanagement say of a particular business cause? Immediately what comes to your mind?
Funds. Mismanagement of funds.
Mismanagement of funds, say there is losses. Now how do you manage losses?
You take a loan, external source of funds.
See? Spray it. Yeah? What we do is, we spray it, which temporarily drowns the odor. Temporarily drowns the odor. And then what happens?
It's again losses. Again you incur loss.
Second, the two mix to create a peculiar odor, a peculiar problem. Yeah? And then finally, what dominates? The odor comes back again. Now, again, let's see how it's a management technique. Now, others said have a bath. Right? This is called the Indian technique. I'm not joking. If you see one BBC documentary, it says like that. What does it say? That really speaking, Indians taught the British how to have a bath regularly. Today they are teaching us. Surprisingly is, they never used to have bath for one month. And Indians thought that the British smelled very badly. And they've always quoted in Zot memory. Yeah? Now, other is, management is, that odor comes due to, you get to the cause, is due to perspiration. So, if you can remove the perspiration regularly by having a bath, do you necessarily need a spray? No. Is it not? Then why will you need a spray if you want it? It will change its purpose to have a different fragrance. Is it not? See, the same thing. When you understand the principle and you do it, and depending on your principles will be your method of management, isn't it? Same way, it's very important to understand that this body is also a field which requires to be managed. Mind also requires to be managed. The world, which is a field, has also to be managed. So we were talking about body as a field, isn't it? Therefore, it requires management. Now, let us take it this way. What is this body made up of? First, we have to understand, because tomorrow's sessions will lead from here, and you'll see how our complete science of Ayurveda. Ayurveda is not medicine. Ayurveda means the knowledge which enhances our life. That's called as Ayurveda. Longevity, health, etc. Now, if we do not know how to manage our body, then a sick body, can it perform well? It cannot. Until unless we discover the abilities, capacities and skills and develop skills of the body, can we enhance our performance? Right? So a proper understanding of this body is necessary, and with that understanding, the management of the body. Because after all, it is the equipment with which we are going to be managing our life, managing our business also, managing our work. Therefore, without understanding the equipments with which we are working, it's like entering an office, not understanding the systems in the office, not understanding the usage of the office, not recognizing the total potential of the office. We start working, and that's what we generally do also, isn't it? We start working, then we don't know where's the fax machine, we do not know where is the internet access available. You have to learn all that thing, then only you can effectively make use of the office, isn't it? So this body is the field. And what is this field made up of? In our ancient science of India, they accept the 5 elements. Elements, basic substance. Today, say in chemistry, we have now discovered more than 130 elements, and these ancient Indians, they only knew 5 elements. But even if you see all our, where they say oxygen, where they say hydrogen as elements, they can be broadly divided under these 5 categories. Chinese also have a similar system of elements. Many accept 4 in our Indian philosophies, but the total knowledge is of these 5 elements. What are these 5 elements? They are first and foremost matter, earth. Earth does not mean just the physical earth, but matter, and that is called as earth. That is put in English, earth. So matter. Even air is matter only, but let us say the gross earth, which goes to make up matter, and that becomes all the gross elements such as metals, etc., silicon, etc. This is called as earth. Commonly we understand just as dust. Then the second element which they talk about is liquid, water. The third element is fire, the principle of heat. The fourth element is air, the principle of movement. So grossness, liquidity, warmth or fire, and movement. This is air. And last, that which accommodates, everything takes space. So the fifth element is space. It's only much later in modern science that ether was considered as an element or a substance. So these are the 5 elements. Now if you look in nature, everything is made up of these 5 elements. Yeah? Can you give me an example? The world we are living in. We can see these 5. Do you see anything other than these 5? Anybody? Don't accept everything I am saying. Huh? Do you see anything other than these 5? Even our body is made up of these 5 elements only. Even our body is made up of these 5 elements only. How will you say? Anybody ready to come up for a demonstration?
Is it because one aspect is we take in air, that's oxygen, and we have liquid which maintains a particular temperature.
Yes.
And the space, I'm not very sure. That's
Yeah, some occupy more, some occupy less. But we are occupying space, isn't it? Yeah? Yeah. Otherwise, very interesting direct experience if somebody can come here and die. And we watch the body over the 2 days. What happens? First you will say, how do you know the person is dead? He's become cold. Is it not? So means element of fire was there. Then what happens?
Breathing stops.
So air leaves, person burns up, air leaves, then you find all the liquids oozing out. Yeah. Then the body dehydrates and dies. And finally space merges with space. Anything else remains from this body? So these 5 elements go to make the body. However, these 5 elements are also of 2 types. This is information first, and then you'll see its application. Yeah? These are also of 2 types. One is gross, other is subtle. It is gross and the other is subtle. What we see, touch, smell, etc., what is tangible to us is the gross element. Therefore, our body is made up of gross 5 elements. Body is made up of 5 gross elements. However, when we look at ourselves, there seems to be this body, but there is another equipment in us, which is the thinking equipment, thinking, feeling, experiencing equipment, which we call as the mind. Now in general we call as mind, but this mind is also of 4 types. I'll explain it to you later on, but it's also of 4 types. So that which we call as the one who is experiencing, thinking, feeling, that is called as the mind. Now, that mind and body, what is the connection between it? It is said that the body is like, let us put it this way, it's like the casing of the car. It has the, this is the body of the car. So whether it's a big fat ambassador or it's a sleek Ferrari, its shape is given by the body. So this body is that in which the machinery which operates the body is encased. Is it not? The same way, if body is the encasing, the mind, you could just compare it to an engine. It is that which gives it the power of, say, movement. I'm saying first in general, then we'll explain it, and then we'll go deeper into this example. No? So it's like the engine that operates it. But what is it that gives it the power even to operate? It's the petrol, isn't it? The capacity of performance, the ability of performance will depend on the engine. Yeah? How much horsepower it is, what is its force, what is its what acceleration it can cause. This will all depend on the engine. Whatever may be the cover and painting of the car, finally it is the engine that gives it the movement and the speed. Clear? But engine also cannot function without the vitalizing factor, which is the petrol, the energy giving factor, which is called as the petrol in a car. Isn't that? Take another example. You have this bulb. What do you call as a bulb? The glass cube is the bulb. In it, you have the anode and cathode. But this anode and cathode with the wire in between, can it light up on its own? It requires electricity to light it. So in simple way, we can just equate it in very simple manner. Body is like the bulb. Mind is the anode and cathode, which when electricity passes, it lights up. But without electricity, neither the anode nor the cathode can light up, nor the glass can reflect. Clear? You getting this? The same way, we have a body, we have the mind, and we have the Atma. When I say we have, these are not, it's again in language I'm explaining. Yeah. So these three factors can be recognized. Atma is never seen as an object, therefore, very often people don't recognize it, but body and mind is recognized that there is. You have a body, are you aware of this or not? You're aware that you got a body? Except if you've fallen asleep. Yeah? We are aware that we have a body. Do you have a mind?
Yes.
How do you know you have a mind? How do you know you have a mind?
We are awake. We are awake.
You are awake, but when you are not awake also you have a mind or not?
Contradicting thoughts.
Huh?
Contradicting thoughts.
Contradictory?
Thoughts.
Thoughts are going on right now, so you know. But when you go to sleep also, do you have a mind or not?
Yes. We get dreams.
We get dreams. So there, the body is not functioning, but the mind is functioning. So we can see that the mind as separate from the body. That even when the body is not functioning, mind creates its own world of fantasy. It creates its own body, its own experience in the dream. Isn't it? Then, what vitalizes it? Now, even science, and you'll be surprised, the various sciences that have been existing in our country, that this Atma or consciousness, which you say, I am aware. What is that? You are aware of your mind. Who are you who is aware of your mind? Isn't it? There's someone who is aware of the mind. Who is that? Now, various theories and philosophies, whether you have in science, you have the ancient knowledge in India also, which were based on different means of knowledge. Why they come with different theories? Why do the modern scientists come with different theories? The neurologists come with a different theory. The psychologists come with a different theory. Because they are dealing with different aspects of our personality, not the whole personality. So if you start taking a case and only take it from one aspect of it, just one aspect of it, for example, you take one situation we were just discussing with our school children, it was in the theory of knowledge question. A farmer has planted, say, certain trees which will bear fruit after, say, coconut trees. Coconut trees which bear fruit after 7 years. After 9 years, he has not got any fruit. So he calls different people to give him the reason for why this fruit is not coming in his tree. The environmentalist comes there and says the environment change, global warming, everything has change. The one who examines the soil, what does he say?
Soil is not good for us.
Soil is not good. It's very acidic or it's very alkaline, and therefore the soil only is wrong. The soil only is not going to work. Someone says that the other person comes says that the water is very hard in this area and therefore this cannot work. The other person said the species of coconut that you've chosen itself does not bear fruit. Now what is this man supposed to do? If he cuts down all these trees, so one says you've chosen the wrong species, cut down all these trees and replant them, which means another 7 years of loss. Means how many years? 14, 15 years of loss. What will happen? Someone says your soil on your land itself is bad. Somebody says the water itself here is bad. Now everything is a major expense. Which one of them is right and which one of them is wrong? All can be right, all can be wrong. How do you make a decision what to do? Sell off the land at the lowest price because it's of no use for plantation. Irrigate expensively to bring the water there. Cut down all the trees and replant them. What would be your option? The data collected. You have to have faith in that data collected, isn't it? First of all. So what we have to understand is that until and unless we understand, what happens is that we take only part, we don't take the whole. We'll also experiment with our interaction with each other. You'll be surprised, no? Very often all our education is at a very intellectual level. And therefore our dealings in the business world, in the professional world, is also very intellectual and logic. But try using that same logic at home with your wife. You think it'll work? Will it work? No answers. You are telling me, will it work? I know you don't have any experience as yet, but will it work?
No.
No. Why? Because that person is coming from an emotional level. You're telling someone that you're not getting a promotion. That person is going to react to you logically or emotionally. Emotionally. Now you give him a whole assessment form in front of him and all the analysis of his performance. Do you think he's going to accept it? Do you think? And yet, how much time we spend on, assessment, this, which is all necessary. I'm not saying it's not. But when you actually have to tell him, you're not getting promotion. That moment, that person is emotional. How are you going to handle that person? If you don't understand how to manage emotions, you throw that paper in front of him and say that this is the analysis about your work. He's going to tell you, but you know how dedicated I am? I've been with the institution for the last 15 years, because he doesn't get a job anywhere else, but he feels that way, Nobody values me here. Everybody is changing every 3 years, but I have stayed with this institution for 15 years. How are you going to handle that person? So complete understanding of our own personality is so essential when we are dealing with people. And mind you, no management is without people. Therefore, HR is becoming such an important that all this knowledge that is there in our Bhagavad Gita, Upanishads, scriptures, and various other philosophies as well as sciences available in our country, the emphasis is recognizing the field as the whole. If you see the whole field, then you have to understand that no experience or management is possible without the experiencer or the manager. If you only study the field without knowing the knower of the field, the experiencer of the field, the manager of the field, then that knowledge cannot be. Should take this. So important thing is to understand the whole system, understand the whole play of creation, understand the field and the knower of the field, know the experiencer, the experienced, and how the experience takes place, the manager, the managed field, and the management. Yeah. All this you have to understand, then only it is effective. Because you know what I am going to say and explain, what is there in our ancient sciences, its application you will have to find at all levels of your management. And that will be your research. That will be your application. Okay? How do you apply it? I'll demonstrate to you how certain principles we have adapted in decision making, etc. in management. But you'll have to find different methods where you require at that time to manage. So how will you do your research on it? So now I'm just going to explain to you what is the body, what is the mind, what is the Atma, the self, the vitalizing force. Then what we're going to talk about is what is the relationship between the three. I've just given you a very brief example. What is the relationship between the three? And can they be aligned or they are opposing forces, which they cannot be because they work in harmony with each other? When do they become opposing forces? And when they become opposing forces, how do we align it? And when our personalities are fully aligned, integrated, in harmony, naturally every action will be spontaneous and therefore efficient. Isn't it? This is the application of it. Now, if we understand this body is experienced by us. We can feel it, we can touch it, we can definitely smell it with our example. Yeah? We can smell it also. It is a field, it is something that we experience. And yet, how much little we know about this body, which is, as you would say, our office. How this office, what does it have? How does it function? Now, in medical science, we study the anatomy of the body. But in our practical day-to-day living, what do we need this body for? What do we need this body for?
Survival.
Huh?
Survival.
Survival only? And why do you want to survive? That's fine, right? We need the body for survival because we think that the existence of us depends upon this body. This is how the materialistic or the Charvak in India philosophy, or even today the material philosophy, what it believes is that as long as this body exists, I exist. So I am this body. So this life functioning force, this which I say, I am an alive being, my life depends upon this body. So when there are certain permutation and combinations of the 5 elements, science will today call it a certain combination of elements which creates the amino acids that makes conducive for life to manifest. So life is a product of matter. This is a scientific theory which they are discovering, refuting, and they are coming close to what our ancient sciences have said. The material scientist points out that life is dependent upon the body. Therefore, for you to live, its survival is of utmost importance. If that will be our philosophy, what will be the management of our life? What will be the purpose of our life?
To ensure that the body exists to the maximum possible amount of time.
Which means that the whole purpose will be to manage the body in such a way that it lives for the longest period of time. See its application? I'm trying to bring that out. That whatever ideology, vision, philosophy, or understanding you have of yourself or the field will determine your methodology of management. Therefore, the philosophy of the Charvaks are, or you can say the materialistic is, that as long as the body is there, life or me, the Atma is there. Body perishes, life is gone. Who's there to prove there is anything other than this body? Generally also, very often our mind thinks like that only. As long as we live, and therefore, what is the purpose of living then? If this is all the life that you have, and beyond this is nothing, before that is nothing, what will you do in such a life?
Enjoy to the maximum.
Yes, the philosophy is, and the very famous, live as long as you can. Eat, drink, and be merry. I don't know why they say in Charvak, drink ghee. And it doesn't matter how you do it, as long as you are able to get yourself food, etc., you enjoy life. The philosophy then could also lead to hook or by crook. Because there are no consequences. There is no heaven, there is no hell, there is no earth, this life after, there is no reincarnation, etc. This body is there, you live as long as this body is there, body ends, because they use the means of knowledge is only direct perception. See, what means of knowledge also we adapt. Whatever will be your means of knowledge, accordingly will be your management. Accordingly will be your vision, and then accordingly will be your management. For example, if I think that I exist only as long as the body exists, and the body is the cause of so-called my existence, then to keep this body going forever, like Ravan, like Kamsa, the examples in the epics, in the Bible, the one who did not want to die, who's that? Anybody knows? Who wanted to kill Jesus? All these people, philosophy, materialistic philosophies, they do not want to die. Because if they die, they do not exist. So the entire life philosophy will be dependent upon this only.
And therefore, according to them, eat, drink, be merry, don't bother about the consequences. So as long as you live, enjoy life. There's no other purpose to life. That will be the philosophy, isn't it? Isn't that the majority of philosophy of the people? They may talk about God, they may talk about life after death, they may talk about hell, heaven, but actually most people's belief is, I live as long as this body is there, and therefore survival will be the primary objective, and the secondary objective will be enjoyment. Is it not? So the question and inquiry begins, is the body the cause of life, or life is the cause of this body? That is the inquiry that we have to make. It's okay, I can give you the conclusion of many, many thousand years. But this self-inquiry you have to make yourself, discover. Because even though we may come from certain traditions, certain religious backgrounds, certain beliefs, our first belief is, I live as long as the body is there. When the body dies, I cease to exist. Therefore, I am this body. This I, Atma, is the body. This is the philosophies, what they call, of people like Virochan, etc., when you find in the epics. I am this body, and therefore everything revolves around this body. And is it not? Tell me, why are you studying? Last time I came to this college, I had given one example. How many of you were there last time when I spoke? Oh, quite a lot of you were there. So remember I told you about something? The boy and the bicycle? Did I tell you about that?
No, you told about the bus stand that idea.
Oh, a year thing I told you, okay. I didn't tell you about this. In Singapore I was called to speak in the college, and they had just left me outside to find the place, and everything looks the same in Singapore. All the buildings, as they talk about management, how they can manage even trees to look the same is amazing. I mean, how to manage a country, you have to learn from Singapore. It's wonderful, how they have managed that. One city is a country, and its defense system, everything. It's amazing to watch. But what is interesting is that I was sent to the university, and every building looked at the same, and I didn't know how to find it. I was supposed to go to an auditorium, and there I met one young man on the bicycle. So I asked him. He was more curious about me. Why are you wearing orange? Who are you? Where you come from? And I was in no mood of answering these questions. The best way to avoid questions is ask questions. I shouldn't have told you this trick though. Yeah? So ask questions. And I just asked why, that's all. I was really not in a mood. It was afternoon, it was hot, and I had a seminar all day, so I was just asking. I said, where are you going? He said, I'm going to college. I said, why are you going to college? He said, to gain knowledge. So I said, do you attend all the sessions? So he said, no, I bunk some of them. I said, some of them or most of them? He says, most of them. So I said, if you go to college to gain knowledge, then how come you're bunking the sessions? He said, I'm a student of commerce, I study for the last few months, I'll pass. So I said, so are you going to this college just to pass? He said, of course, I'm going to college to get the degree. So I said, why do you want a degree? Okay, why do you want a degree? Because I want a job. So I said, job you want? Then why are you going to college? You come to the mission, I'll give you plenty of job. We've got hospitals, we've got schools, we've got colleges, we've got so many things. You just come to us, we'll give you a job. So immediately he says, okay, so how much money will I get? I said, you want a job or you want money? Tell me, what do you want? So he said, of course I want a job because I want money. I said, suppose I give you money, will you do the job? If I had the money, why will I do a job? Yeah. Tell me, which of you are going to do the job just because you want to express your potential? Without any money. So what is the purpose behind it is to get money. So I just told him, I said, you want money? I will give you the money. How much money do you want? He said, how much can you give? I said, any amount. So he said, let me feel you out, you know. So I said, you want in thousands? You want in millions? So he said, how many millions? I said, as many millions as you want. He said, you can give me any million. Why will you give me? I said, I'm telling you, just take as many millions as you want. So he said, okay, give me 10 millions. I said, you want rupees, dollars or pounds? He said, which one is more? I said, pounds. Oh, give me pounds. So he said, pounds. Okay, great. So I said, okay, you have the money. So he said, you mean say, I can do whatever I want to do. I can buy my car, I can buy this, I can buy. I said, hey, you never said anything about car, house, computers, iPods, etc. You never said anything about this. Yeah? You said you wanted the money is in your bank, but you can't withdraw it. You know, what use is it? Yeah? What use is it? It's like, you know, your very rich uncle makes a will that all his estate goes to you, but he doesn't die at all. So it's in your name, but you can't get it. Yeah. So I said, why do you want the money? He said, because I want to buy all these things. So I said, why do you want to buy all these things? He said, because I want to enjoy them. I said, why do you want to enjoy them? He said, because I want to be happy. So then I asked him, why do you want to be happy? Why do you want to be happy? Tell me. Anybody? Why do you want to be happy? No answer, no? See, everything has got why. But happiness has got no why. But very often we get stuck somewhere in the middle. Why? Because at this moment we all feel, we all are acting because we want to be happy. Agreed or not? Anybody acting there because you're sad? Or sadness? We all want to be happy or not? Anybody wants to be miserable?
No.
Why am I telling you? No? Because our rishis have said never trust a bearded fellow. One audience, I'm telling you, it was college audience. I asked, I said, anyone here does not want happiness and wants sorrow? Anybody want sorrow? And one young man put his hand up. Said, I want sorrow. So I said, you want sorrow? Everybody looked at him. He said, yeah. You want sorrow? I said, yes. So I asked him, why do you want sorrow? He said, because sorrow makes me happy. See, finally we want happiness, is it not? Again, our concept of happiness will depend upon our vision of ourselves, isn't it? At this moment, what is happiness for you? You tell me. If it's your parents, how much will she study? She gets married. That is happiness for them, is it not? You get a job, it's happiness for your parents. What is happiness for you right now? Come on, let's talk about what we want. Okay, boys, what will give you happiness? It's very important. You got your notebooks with you, right? Tell me, what will give you maximum happiness? Food? Food? Okay, some say food. What else?
Parents' happiness.
Happiness of others. Yeah, happiness of others. Your happiness. Okay, what else? Huh?
Good job.
A good job will give you happiness. What do you mean by a good job?
One which pays us high.
Exactly, you know. So, good salary, let us say that way, don't you? Yeah? A good salary. See, you have to be very clear what we want. We say we want a good job. We don't want a good job. We want a good package. Is it not? So, somebody says, I want a lot of money, then it is good. All this will depend on, because we think it will be happiness. But tell me, does it really give us happiness? Does it? Again, all this is dependent on our vision of life. It all starts with body survival. Survival and enjoyment. See, what I'm trying to show is how, really speaking, we may talk about every other philosophy, we may talk about religion, etc. But our basic philosophy in this world is, I am this body. And if I am this body, then survival of this body is my primary job. And the secondary, we all want happiness. And this happiness I can gain only with the comfort and enjoyment of the body, is it not? And therefore, every work from day to night is done just for the comfort of this body. What I'm also trying to show you also is, whatever is our knowledge, accordingly will be our vision, and accordingly will be our action. Our goals also. So if we think carefully, actually all of us generally in this world are following the philosophy of, this is very useful in your marketing also. We are only following the philosophy of survival and enjoyment. Yet, tell me, whatever you thought as a child will give you happiness, today it gives you happiness? Does it? No. Suppose you get a good job with a good salary. Are you happy?
For some time.
For some time. Immediately after that, no. Which means what? That all this happiness is there with us, which is only temporary. Why is it temporary? Tell me.
Because after that we go in search of the next level maybe. You're not satisfied with that.
Because human needs and wants are always changing.
Which means needs and wants are always changing. Therefore, if we understand the entire field and the knower of the field, what do we recognize?
That nothing is permanent.
That nothing is permanent, everything is changing. But what are we expecting? Permanent happiness, isn't it? What are we searching is? Permanent happiness. But we are searching permanent happiness, and what are we doing day in and night?
Working
What?
for temporary happiness.
Struggling for temporary happiness. Will we ever reach our goal? Will we ever reach satisfaction? Now you realize in management also, if the knowledge is not clear, the vision is not clear, how will our management be proper? Day and night, from the womb to the tomb, we are working for happiness only, isn't it? And if we don't have happiness, we don't want to live also. So really speaking, survival is not our primary motive or goal. It's actually happiness. But which happiness? Permanent, everlasting happiness. We all unknowingly are searching for that permanent, everlasting happiness. But how are we managing our life? Tell me.
With all the temporary happiness.
With only temporary objects. I'll give you an hilarious example. Yeah, I don't know the last time I gave it or not, but I was traveling in the train, and the train was late. But amazing are our Indians who are later than the trains, and they still expect to catch the train, and they actually do. Yeah? That is the most amazing thing about our country. The train was 3 hours, 22 minutes late and 35 seconds. I was constantly looking at the time. I was on time. And this man comes 45 seconds after, means 3 hours, 45 seconds. Train has started moving, gets inside and finally struggles to put all his excess baggage everywhere, and then everybody wants the upper bunk. Goes, sits there, and another thing, never we Indians can stop talking. Friendly nature actually, it's not a bad thing, it's a good friendly nature. So started talking. I was actually reading the Bhagavad Gita. I said, what are you reading? So I showed him, oh, Bhagavad Gita, can you tell me in short what the Bhagavad Gita said? In short. Yeah. So my guru had taught me, if somebody tells you what in short is the Bhagavad Gita, just tell him that the Bhagavad Gita says that the experiencer of the world is the substratum of the world. You understood anything? Nothing, no? He also understood nothing. But he kept quiet after that, not to ask any questions. Because this man is too profound. However, he still could not stop talking, so he stopped asking me this philosophical questions, and then started chatting. Whole night passed away. Next day, suddenly we recognized that we were in the same college, in the chemistry lab we were partners. We were in the same college, same division, and we had been together. He had grown a beard, I had grown a beard for different reasons. And he tells me, where are you going? So I said, I'm going to, Chennai. I was coming down south that time. So he says, ever since we've left college, science has really developed, isn't it? So I said, definitely science has developed. What do you mean? He said, look at it, no? We both are in the same train. The lower bunk is going to Chennai and upper bunk is going to Delhi. Is it possible? No. Somebody's in the wrong train, isn't it? And guess who? The other bearded fellow, huh? Now look at it. We are all really struggling for happiness. But without understanding of the nature of the world and understanding of who am I, day and night, what are we working for? Permanent objects. Is it? Yeah. You're not paying attention. Day and night we are working for permanent objects? Yeah. Got it. You're not paying attention. Day and night we are working for permanent objects? Yeah. Got it. Yeah. We are working for temporary objects. We want permanent happiness, but we are seeking in temporary things, situations, beings. Is it possible? Not possible, isn't it? So either you have to give up expecting permanent happiness, or what? Search for that which is permanent. But if you observe anything in this world, you see permanent? Nothing. Everything is constantly changing. So what have you to recognize about the field? The field is constantly, continuously changing. That's the nature of the field. That's the nature of the market. That's the nature of the world. And what do we expect all the time?
We expect
It is so funny. No? You will hear these dialogues. When people are quoting each other and just falling in love, they will tell each other, hope you never change. And after marriage, you have not changed a bit. But you said never to change. Make up your mind. That's exactly, my mind has changed. So not only the field is changing, but even the equipments are changing their experiences, isn't it? Even in the company, the market is changing. So also the demands of people are changing. So are also you changing. Is it not? Now in these two changing factors, you are expecting permanent happiness. Is it possible? Is it possible? And yet we are expecting it, isn't it? So our expectation is what? False? But can you give it up? If you cannot give up this expectation, which means it is natural expectation. And anything which is natural in this world, if you observe carefully, it has got a natural solution. And all these statements I'm making, if you can note it down, yeah, this will be very helpful in your management. Anything that is natural will have a natural solution. If you've got a nostril that can breathe, there will be air. You've got hunger, there will be food. If we carefully observe ourselves, we will recognize that that which is natural will have a natural solution. To expect permanent happiness is natural to us. To expect permanent happiness is natural to us. It is not cultivated. How many of you desire pizzas? How many of you like pizzas? Every Saturday you would like to have a pizza. Not every means often you would like to. Don't ask, keep shy, put your hand up. I like. Yeah? Okay? Now, when you say pizza, how many of you heard of pizza when you were a little child? That time what you desire? Candies, chocolate, isn't it? Okay, now how many of you desire nachos? Some of them don't know about it, they have no desire for it, isn't it? But now if I tell you that nachos are even more delicious than pizza, now that you've heard, now everybody's going to ask, hey, you three girls know about everything, no? Hey, what is nacho? What is nacho? Everybody will ask you, hurry, you don't know what is nacho? Yeah? The first time I didn't know about nacho. All these youngsters were telling me, Swamiji, enough of pizza. Let's have nacho. So I said, okay, what about nachos? What is this nacho? Oh, Swamiji, that's the latest, it's the in thing, it's Mexican. It's not Italian, it's Mexican. Okay, great. So I said, what is it? Swamiji, it's really Punjabi, They've got rajma in it. So I thought, hey, it looks very interesting. And then one day, they brought me nachos. Till then, I have absolutely no desire for nacho. And when I saw nacho, I'm telling you now only in case you're beginning to desire it. There seemed to be a nice little corn chip pillow. But on that top, there was this brown thing, something like you see early in the morning when you go to the toilet. Yeah. And on that was this yellow pus oozing. Not appetizing, no?
Not at all.
Then what is your pizza? Looks like one big flesh with blood on it, with boils on it, and some oozing pus on it. But still, Swamiji, it tastes excellent. Don't you say that? Huh? It tastes excellent. So you don't care how it looks, but it tastes excellent. Now, is this not a cultivated desire? But can you say that wanting permanent happiness is a cultivated desire? Is it?
No.
No. So it's a natural desire, is it not? So what is the solution? There has to be a natural solution. You cannot say that it does not exist. You cannot say it does not exist. It has to exist. Okay, suppose you say it does not exist. There's no such thing as permanent at all. There's no such thing as permanent. Everything that I experience, which I experience, is changing. And that is true. Everything that you experience is changing. Everything that you experience is changing. So in this ever-changing world, there is no possibility of happiness, which is permanent. Therefore, what will be the management philosophy of that person's life? I want permanent happiness, but no object is permanent. So how will I have permanent happiness?
Let go of this world.
Yeah, you just let go. You
Let go of this world.
permanent happiness.
Don't expect, but you can't.
Now that you know you can't, so you just don't.
But can you? You will not be able to. So what is the next philosophy? And that's how all marketing in this world takes place. What is it?
Go find a substitute.
No. If tea gives me happiness for this period of time, or this amount of happiness, and it's going to end, then what I do? I get another bit of happiness, then another bit of happiness, then another bit of happiness, then another bit of happiness. And that way I make my happiness continuous. Is it possible?
No.
Even that way it is not possible. But that is again the philosophy that we follow. Therefore, have more and more and more and more, struggle to have more and more and more with the hope that I will have happiness in these bits, more and more and more. Can it happen? Cannot. Nor can we give up this desire. Then what is the answer? It is the basic question of our life. And we never find an answer to it, isn't it? See, how to get to the root of a problem. How to get to the root of what people are doing. Why people are doing. If you try to give anybody satisfaction in the world, you cannot. Give them more salary, will they be satisfied? You didn't give them position, they will be sad. You give them position and salary, you think they're still happy? What else do they expect?
They'll start expecting more.
Yes. Because none of the temporary things can give us satisfaction. It is to find out this that the ancient seers, thinkers, saints, sages, they began their search. Because first of all, you must be very, very clear what is our goal. We are not clear of our goal, then we are doing things and we never get satisfaction from it. Without clarity of the goal, anything that you do will never give you satisfaction. That's why today, career, no satisfaction. You want to join this college, then no satisfaction. Your job, no job satisfaction. Marriage, no satisfaction at all. Yeah? So the basic thing is, We want happiness. We want permanent, everlasting happiness. It is not a cultivated desire, it's an inborn desire, natural desire. Either we say it is not possible, but our rishis discovered what has got there's a natural desire, there should be a natural solution. You've got nose and a desire to breathe, there is air. It's not a cultivated desire. Hunger and food, they coexist. If there was no food, there would be no hunger. And if there was no hunger, you would not recognize any food. Is it not? They coexist. Same way also, if happiness is a natural desire in us, it only means there is a natural solution. Do you desire it or not? Do you want it or not? You want it, right? How and where it is found? Because otherwise you don't, what is the purpose of this whole body-mind Atma alignment? You know, okay, body-mind I know is useful to me, but what is the use of this Atma? If we don't understand this, we will not understand why this search for this Atma began. Why this search for the self began? Is it not sufficient that I know I'm functioning, I know my talents? Or is it necessary I know who I am? And what we understand of ourselves is only our equipments, body and mind. But who I am, the Atma, is not known. And if you recognize, body is constantly changing. Mind is also changing. And the whole question is, am I also changing? If everything, including I, in this world is changing, then we conceptualize that there should be or someone or something which is permanent, and therefore people conceptualize a God who is permanent, and everything and everybody else changes. Then also changes are of different varieties. You'll be surprised with mind-boggling philosophies we have, and what scientific inquiries have been there. Am I permanent and yet changing? Or am I changing and perishing? These are all very interesting things. Anyway, at the moment it might sound a bit confusing, but I'll make it very, very simple. That who am I, and how this knowledge, I'll make it very, very simple. That who am I, and how this knowledge is then applicable to everything that I do and I manage. Clear? What I've shown you today is that whatever knowledge we have, whatever ideology we believe in or hold on to, will determine our vision, will determine our mode of management or action. And therefore, if we see life as a whole, including myself in it, then our total vision changes. Our goals also change, and our actions also change. That is how we have to understand. So this is going to be the structure of it. Seeing the relevance of it? Yeah. Now, once you got this, as I'm going on giving you this hints of application, the exercise that you should be doing is that all these principles that are there, how are you going to apply it in your work field? How are you going to apply it in your job? How are you going to apply it in your family? Then it becomes an applied science. Because again, the fields will keep on changing. Each one of you are going to go to a different field for expression. But once you've understood the holistic principle behind it, then how you manage each field. That's why, can you imagine some of the people who had absolutely no education today are managing multifaceted businesses. They are managing organizations in so many different ways. And each one of us have to manage so many things. Family is an institution. How do you create the balance between family and work? That's the biggest topic today in the corporate world. All the seminars I conduct finally keep everything aside. Tell me, how are we going to manage this family? No. Literally, every CEO, managing director, whether man or woman, bottom line is, okay, I'm managing my finances and everything very well. How do I manage my family? And today they are miserable because I have a joke about it, no? That whenever I meet CEOs, managing directors, it is quite amazing if you inquire for them. They are either divorced or in the process of divorce, or chances are good. That's what they tell me. Why is that happening? We don't take life as a whole. And each field requires management. They're so good at managing their office, but in the house, managing the children is a problem. So spiritual management is holistic. Understanding the whole picture of creation, creator, and creature. You have to understand all three of them. So today what we will be discussing, so now we'll have a break for half an hour so that you can stretch out the bathroom. Is there some? So just stretch out and then we'll meet again. And we have a break, no? Yeah, we need a break a little bit. Then we'll meet after half an hour and then we will go into the detailed study of these equipments of ours. And then the next session in the afternoon after lunch, we'll meet and we will be having session where we will be discussing these three aspects of creation. Creation, the creature, and the creator. Apply the same principles to management and you'll be amazed. The creator of the company, what was his or her vision? Who is managing it? And how is managing that creation? Apply all these principles, you have to then apply and you'll find it's amazing. Today Harvard and all these places are using these principles for management. And the last sessions I will be taking is so that you can see how your decision making also depends upon your understanding of yourself. While some people can make decision very quickly, others can't. And when we are in conflict and dilemmas, how do we make these decisions? Based on these, the understanding of these three equipment, body, mind and intellect, the equipment, and the Atma, the self. So these are how we'll be studying this. And tomorrow will be the various applications. So today when you go home, you'll think. So tomorrow, you should bring me some material about body management, about the various other subjects that we are going to discuss. So that there will be a little bit more of sharing in that. So today I'll explain this to you. Yeah? So think over it this half an hour that you got a break and then we'll meet again.